Hi everyone, this is Thomas Pop here
Good
with
evening,
Mantis
San Diego.
Discussions. And we're here with Michael Sujek. How are you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
You know, I'm a sound guy. I don't get in front of the camera, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna hide actually and go over there. I got headphones, so I do feel somewhat at home. But
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. You know, I know that we've been having to work on our breathing exercises. Like you said, we're usually behind the camera, but it's okay.
Right.
We're good. We're good. But other than that, you know what? It's been a pretty.
I do have a chair though, so that's good because being in a chair, I feel like a sound guy too. Headphones, got a chair.
Absolutely. 1, 2, you got to lift on 3.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Where's Crafty?
Exactly. Yeah. And by the way, David Cook says he's here to heckle you.
Great. Bring it.
Yeah, guys, I want to ask everyone a quick question. Our levels are a little bit hot in our ears, so I'm going to make an adjustment here. But how is it sounding to you guys? Please let us know. We want to make sure that the levels going to the live feed are good. I'm just going to make one quick adjustment. Michael, why don't you?
I'm going to just be here by myself.
Yeah, you're just going to have to sit here by yourself for a second.
No
but why don't you tell people a little bit more about yourself and, you know, how you got started in the biz?
Okay, well, I was born, and
yeah, well, no, we're right there. There you go.
How's it going? So, yeah, I've been a sound guy for 11 years now. This is my 11th year. Can you believe that? Yeah, I was in San Diego at the time and looking for something different. I'm a musician also. And then my cousin was like, hey, dude, you should come consider doing sound with me. He was in Los Angeles, so I went up and, yeah, I mean, I started getting on sets with him. I started booming, and he'd give me a bag and be like, here, build this bag. And I was like, what's this TA3 connector thing? Just, you know, basic stuff. And but it was funny. I mean, it just went from there. You know, he basically was giving me experience, and I learned what Crafty was right away, which was awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And I remember booming.
What's your favorite thing at Crafty? Let's get real.
Not Twizzlers.
Something healthy. Red vines?
Something healthy.
Those are technically a little healthier.
Peanut M&Ms are pretty good.
Have you tried the new caramel ones?
No, I didn't even know they had that.
Oh my gosh, the commercial's hilarious too.
Okay.
But the caramel ones, caramel, not caramel.
Okay.
Caramel.
All right.
Caramel. Anyways,
I'll
please
look for
continue.
them.
Please continue.
Whatever. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about there. Just, you know, it's kind of the same way. It's a trade. You know, for me, it was a trade. I didn't go to film school. So, again, being a musician and then, you know, there's sort of a bridge over from that. And, yeah, being on set and, yeah, you make a few mistakes, but you kind of grow from it. So
you made a few mistakes, but then you landed a freaking incredible job. I remember talking to you about this one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ice Road Rebels?
Ice Lake
Ice
Rebels.
Lake,
Yeah.
not a road.
Yeah.
That's
no, it
right.
was a road. It was a road.
A road to the lake.
No, the lake becomes a road
Oh.
all winter long. It's 9 months of the year. It's winter there. So.
All right. Start from the beginning. Start from the beginning, because this is a crazy good story.
Yeah. Well, I got a call from line producer that I was working with, and he asked me if I was interested in doing the show. So I did an interview with the EP phone interview. I remember I was working at Cordon Bleu at the time in Pasadena. But anyway, so yeah, I did an interview, asked about the show. It was basically, everything was hot. It was reality. And everything was hot at the time was sort of like these mountain men, off the grid type people. You know, everybody's trying to do some sort of
grizzly
copy.
man.
All that stuff. So it was basically about these people who live off the grid. I was for Animal Planet. And yeah, we were going to run around and follow them. So out in 200 miles from the Arctic Circle. So northern Canada.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, and he asked me to be sound supervisor for it. So I was like, okay, great. You know, we talked about that. It was going to be 2 crews, just shooting on C300s with 4 cameras. I think like 9 or 10 people for season 1. So had to figure out one of the first things, once I got the job, and we talked about it, and they agreed to let me supply the gear for it. Great. So then I had to get the gear. And I remember, like, one of the things that was a big deal is we needed onboard recording because we were going to be shooting a lot on a lake. You know, the main two times of the year when it was going to be dangerous are during freeze up, when it's becoming frozen, and when it was thawing.
Mm.
And so those
Oh,
are the two
right,
main
because
times of
you
year.
might fall in at those times.
Exactly.
That's a
Yeah.
really not good time to be on the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did. There was you could have had my name on a slate, instead of Sarah. You could have had my name on a slate because we went through those.
Yikes.
And it was a hairy moment. So, yeah, breathe.
Yeah, right. Well, get back to this phone call. So, I
Yeah.
mean, when you get a phone call like this isn't the normal phone call of, hi, yeah, I just have a simple interview on a controlled environment.
I'm
There's air conditioning, Yeah, what were you gonna say?
no, nothing.
No, okay. Yeah, throwing me off. No, I'm kidding. This was more of a big job where it's not just like a 2 sentence, like, hey, we just need a guy with a boomstick
Right.
thingy.
We're dialing down our list here, and you're caller number 8. And
Yeah.
after we get you to accept the job, we'll see if we can get anybody to do it for less
Yeah,
money.
they weren't going to Mandy or Craigslist to
Right.
find these types of
Yeah.
people, because this is a very unique type of job for a sound guy or a sound person.
Yeah.
Rather.
Well, I had a relationship with the line producer, so again, he knew me, he trusted me, and so that was everything, So anyway, yeah, we had to get gear. I had to get gear, and so one of the things, though, because again we were going to be on boats, especially when it's thawing, is there are going to be times when range may become an issue for me. So we wanted onboard recording that the Zaxcom provided. So the decision was to get Zaxcom. So I bought a bunch of Zaxcom to handle this season. So great, and it was exciting because the wideband had just come out as the LA the 2. And
can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt. How long was from the phone call to the day that you got on the plane? Just so we kind of have a perspective, because like you said,
it was pretty fast because like this show, because the main things that the dangerous times, like shooting all winter long, but again because it's dependent on the weather and the lake freezing, we had to time it with. We were basically watching the weather forecast. Oh, we got to go. So it was pretty quick, but we were within 2 to 3. I don't know, maybe it was pretty fast, within a month for sure.
Right.
But it was definitely, there was some urgency to get there and to start shooting.
And so you are going to your retail shop, going, I need X amount of Zaxxon wireless, and they're going, you need what?
Right, and we had to get it, so it had to be shipped from New Jersey, and they had to do a special build for me and get it to me so that I could. Get it, build it, sort of test it, and of course, we tested it on the job, in a sense too, because it was, new. But anyway, so yeah, that was a big deal. But then the exciting thing about it was that after we'd gotten the gear ordered, Zaxcom was building it and shipping it out. Then the line producer calls me one day. He's like, "Yeah, by the way, there's been a change of plans. So we're not going to be using your gear."
What?
And yeah, that was about what I said.
What?
It was kind of what. So we had to have a big conversation, and I was like, listen, like, we need the onboard recording. We talked about it from a practical standpoint, and even like taking me out of it. Yes, I just invested in all this gear, so that's a major problem for me.
Right.
But even from their standpoint, because they don't care about me. Even from their standpoint, it's like for the creative of the show and the way that we're doing this, we need the onboard recording. Plus, they were going to do some hunting trips, and there were going to be some other things like a hunting trip. They don't want to take a full crew because, it's like you're trying to shoot a buffalo or some animal. We don't need, to have a couple. Anyway, we needed a slim crew, right? So there were going to be a couple instances where we sent the transmitters and let them put on talent, and sort of like you get what you get. And it ends up being, montage footage for you because something didn't work. That's in your hands. But anyway, so we needed the onboard recording, but the thing is, when you have the head of this production company whose buddy is at the retail shop, is at the rental shop, and it's like, hey, listen, we'll give you a really good rate,
or a really good deal on this
or
stuff.
we'll give you all the gear for free for your pilot, but then you just have to use our gear when it goes, if it gets picked up, whatever they're working out those sort of negotiations. It's like, hey, this industry's that way. Everybody wants to help their buddy out, right?
Right.
So
sure.
So that was the deal. So they didn't care about anything about the creative. It's just like, I got to put that money in my buddy's pocket because I have an arrangement with him or her.
Right.
So that was the deal. So yeah, I was like, this is a problem, and they didn't want to listen to us about it. But anyway, the line producer, again, I said, we've had a relationship for a few other things, and so he helped me fight for it to get the gear on and say, listen, this is the deal, and basically went back and just said, okay, well, if you're not taking his gear, then he's walking.
Wow.
So that was basically how the negotiation went for that. And again, we were pressed for time, so there was a little bit of leverage for me from that standpoint. And so
yeah, exactly, because you put them dead in their tracks of, well,
basically,
what are we going to do?
they would have found somebody else. But again, everything was tight, and so I think the showrunner, I think she got involved to fight for the gear to say, no, listen, this is my show, and so we're taking this sound guy with this gear because we need this gear, yada. So I sold them. Basically, the gear is what helped me sell them on using my stuff over the rental, and is what allowed it to carry forward and be used.
I mean, I'm so glad that they actually listened to you and the voice of reasoning in their heads.
It wasn't even me. Yes, finally got through, but it wasn't even me. Like, they didn't care about me. Who am I? I'm just some guy they don't even know. They don't care. But it was because the line producer and the showrunner went back and said no. Like, they had some clout at that level, so they were able to make it happen.
Yeah.
So I had to sell them and help them understand, again, this is why we decided to use this.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
go from
you
there.
really had to hit it from the creative standpoint and the technical standpoint of saying, well, listen, because of what you're trying to do here, if I laid out my gear versus the gear package you have, you're going to have problems, right? I mean, like, you probably didn't say it like that.
Yeah, basically, again, they're not worried about why it's an issue for me. It's an issue for me because now suddenly I just took on all this debt to buy all this gear. They don't care about that, so I don't even need to talk about that with them. I mean, I can include that as like, and by the way, but that's not the primary thing that they're worried about.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about I'm trying to help serve your show. I'm trying to help serve what you're trying to do here creatively, and I mean, anyway, whatever. So we're in this extreme cold, and it was nice to have the onboard recording for that, which I pushed as its backup.
Yeah.
But again, we don't know if any gear is going to fail, and it's -40 there. We're minus 40.
That's where the numbers like meet.
Yeah,
right?
-40 Celsius is the same as -40 Fahrenheit. It's cold, okay? It's cold.
I was thinking we should have some scarves or something like that for this one.
I looked for my goggles. I looked for my ski goggles. I was going to wear them the whole thing. I couldn't find them.
That's funny.
Yeah, I did bring some show and tell, but I can get to later if we have time or whatever.
For sure.
It's nothing very exciting. But
well, you know what? I actually made a reminder here, so we do this.
Okay.
Maybe give me a second here because we want to let everyone
Time's up.
know that this Mantis discussion is sponsored by K-Tek.
K-Tek.
Yeah.
I took K-Tek poles. I took
Absolutely.
K-Tek boom poles on the shoot. They were great.
Nice. Well, talk about them for a second.
Talk about them. They're boom poles. They extend the knuckles. I think we had the knurled collars.
Yeah.
You extended it, and then this. But as reality shown, we didn't have to use it a lot because most of it's wires. But they're always there for us.
They never froze up on you.
They didn't actually. No, they
They
worked
were
out great.
always
No. They
working
worked out
perfectly.
great. No, they were great.
You know what? Did you have any problems with the XLR connectors and the cables in the cold?
No. One time, no, not with that. I had, like with the Sheps, I had a cement. Most of the time, again, it's so dry there. Like there's no real I mean, there's not.
Yeah, it's just cold.
All the moisture just like freezes instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like. Anyway, so so one time I was getting a little bit of pulsing in the shotgun, so I switched it out, and that was it was just because of the moisture.
Right.
So that wasn't because of the boom pole.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So the pole was working always.
Yeah, everything actually, like all the gear worked out really, really well. And you talk about you're in that extreme cold, the battery life's going to get cut in half.
Yeah.
But again, most of the time the transmitter, we had to keep them close to their body. I mean, this is the hardest thing about it is that here you are as a sound guy, and it's like I need to be scrolling through my phone, like while we're shooting. And it's like your phone would shut down from the cold. It might work for like 20 minutes, then your phone's like, I need to shut myself down because it's too cold.
Exactly.
And
now you're like completely screwed.
now what I'm going to do for the rest of the day, actually listen? Oh, wait, no, I'm totally kidding, but half
funny.
kidding.
Oh, but anyways,
Yeah.
listen, we got to cut for one more second. Go ahead and grab
Okay.
those bags behind me for a second.
Who, me?
If you, yeah, absolutely, just right behind you. Do you see those couple
These?
things? Not that guy, the guy to the left and left of him. If anybody hasn't seen these are the K-Tek Gizmo bags. And these are just universal pouches. Do you have any of these, by the way?
Nope.
No, you haven't had these? Okay, so check
I do
it out.
now. Thanks.
Yeah, right, exactly. This one's for you. The thing I love about these guys is that they have different sizes. In fact, they have a sale right now going that I'll tell you guys about in a little bit. But the awesome thing about these Gizmo bags is it's something that you can see through. So I have basically different categories of cables in different gizmo bag sets with me. Even when I'm working, I use different size ones. So this one is the small. They have a medium, I'm sorry, which I somewhere in a case over there, and then they have the large ones as well. Um, Honestly, I love these guys because they have a bunch of different places that you can put different pieces of gear,
Well, this would
different
be
lavs
good.
and
So
stuff.
again, on the show, this would have been good for
Yeah,
say I
how
could.
would you use it on our
I'm
show?
about to tell you.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So I mean, yeah, you could throw your backup cables in it because again, when we were shooting out there in the Arctic, we had to make sure that we had plenty of backup gear because again, we're remote. It wasn't like we can just hey, recorder went down and how long is it going to take to get a recorder here or something else? It's not like we can just run to a rental shop or have somebody have a PA go pick one up for us. So I had
Right.
a third recorder and etc. Anyway, so this would be great to have your overflow cables, even your batteries or whatever. But I'd probably have my transmitters in here and put my lavs up here. And again, it's nice and portable because we're schlepping all this stuff all over the place. And
One of the great things about it that a lot of people don't know is that it has the molly strap attachments. So if you're
So-
wearing their stingray harness and
just
stuff, or
strap it to
even
it?
the bags, yeah, you
Nice.
can attach it to it, so you can just basically utilize more space around you, which is pretty cool.
Great.
Yeah.
All
These
right.
guys are, by the way, the ones that I use when I'm just working on jobs where it's like I need just a wire and a boom. I put a transmitter inside of this guy
Cool.
along with just all the wire and accessories that I need. So if I'm doing like 2 or 3 transmitters, I'll just have everything ready, and then I put that in my bag. It's kind of helping to
Great.
keep me a little bit more organized.
Sounds
So
good.
definitely pick these up, guys. And I was told to let you guys
Thank
know.
you. I will.
Yeah, right. I guess that one's for Michael.
Yep.
That there is a special in the U.S. and Canada for back to school until 8/11/18. So if you guys check with your local retailers, you can take a look at that sale. Thank you. But yeah, so let's get back to where did we leave off?
Giving the thing back, the gizmo bag.
Oh well, don't worry
I'm
about
just
the
kidding,
gizmo
I'm
bag,
kidding.
but yeah.
So
Where
yeah,
are
I guess
we?
where were we? Wait, I don't know. I got the gear. Had to fight for it to get it back on the show. Got it back on the show. So then, yeah, I guess we flew there.
Yeah, they finally said fine, so you got
we
onto
got
the
it.
plane.
So got on the plane. Hope it all works. Yeah, whatever. And then yeah, we flew in, and so then it was, it's kind of exciting at first because you're like, I mean, this is an adventure. It's like I've never worked in, and it wasn't minus 40 every day, but yeah, it was gnarly.
What's the
like-
coldest place you've ever been in?
Yellowknife.
Yellowknife, the one for
Yes.
this, right? But
It
before
wasn't
this,
the equator.
Before this, though,
I don't know.
Michigan, yeah,
someplace.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So like 0, right?
Well, I've been lower than that, but
A little lower.
regardless, not minus 40.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. So, and again, imagine this: we're standing on a frozen ice cube all day. I mean, we're on a giant frozen lake, so it's like you learn pretty quickly that sweat is your enemy. Like, it's an art form to get dressed to go out for your job because, first of all, I mean, you have to put on like a couple different socks. We'd have like a liner sock, we'd have like a wool sock, and then you're putting your foot in some giant boot, and you got about 16 layers on, and then you start sweating, and your feet start sweating before you even finish dressing, and you go outside, and then your sweat just freezes to your foot, and so your feet never get warm all day. So you have to sort of dress in stages and finish dressing outside, and then you learn baby powder. You get baby powder and you stick that on your feet before you put your socks on, so that it dries up
Really?
the moisture, so that you're not standing on a frozen lake with feet frozen all day or getting frostbite or whatever. So yeah.
I've never worked in any situations that cold,
Yeah.
but I did have to do a job in the dead of winter in Ohio. So I mean, it was cold enough with the wind and everything. And the one thing that I just could not stand was going from extreme cold into some like a warm environment. That change, it just like.
Well, don't worry, we didn't have that. We didn't have that change of environment that you're talking about. Sounds like it was a really nice job, Thomas. Yeah, great.
Did I rub that in a little bit
thank
too much,
you.
a little too thick?
Actually,
Sorry.
I'm exaggerating a little bit because, that was one of the things I was probably going to say later is, it's good to build solidarity with the crew. Being the sound guy, you don't have to necessarily be in the elements. When you say, this antenna might give me a little bit of range here.
I'll just
And,
sit in that back house.
I'll be in the houseboat.
Is
while
there
you guys are-
Wi-Fi on this thing?
Seriously. So I'm in the houseboat. There's the fire. I got all my layers off. I'm like, oh, crap. I got to go change some batteries. I better layer up. I'll be outside for 20 seconds.
That's funny.
Yeah. And, I mean, not all the time, but yeah, you definitely took advantage of it when you had an opportunity to stay warm. And camera guys were smart about it. They're really smart about it because, okay, so here's another thing. I'll stay on task. But we had a snowmobile everywhere, right? So like you get out in the elements and it's freezing cold, and then you have to get on a snowmobile an hour just to get to your location to shoot these fishermen all day, and then to stand on this wide open space of a lake and you have no shelter or whatever, and then get on your snowmobile and ride back home.
First day it was fun for about 10 minutes.
On the car ride, you're like, oh, it's so pretty out here. Yeah. It's so nice. It's so great.
By the second day, you're just like...
I got a story, actually. It's funny. So the very first time, so we had different people, like, usually I was only covering a couple people at a time, and then Adam, the other sound guy, so we were split up and covering different parts of stories in different people's lives. So the fishermen, when you got the fishermen, then that was the day that you'd have to get on the snowmobile and go out and stand on this frozen ice. I mean, the other days were outside too, but still. Yeah, keep going. Oh, okay, yeah. So anyway, so I remember like the first night I was shooting whatever I was shooting, and Adam had to go cover the fishermen, and he comes back like, pitch black late at night, and he comes in and he's like, never again, because he was just so miserable. So it was funny. I was like, well, maybe tomorrow, Adam.
See you tomorrow, same time.
Right.
Same time, same place.
Right.
That's hilarious.
Thanks for letting me know that I shouldn't do that one.
Yeah.
No, we
Wow.
tried to split it up so everybody, it wasn't like one guy just getting all the worst, the worst spots. But
That's hilarious.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah.
you get there on the snowmobile for the first time.
mean, like, for
You're
the-
not
yeah.
wearing the bag during this, are you?
No. I threw it in. So we'd snowmobile. We'd have, we'd towing it in sleds. And then I would just, I'd have my Pelican. So I had to have a small enough Pelican that I could get what I needed only, plus some backups.
Yeah.
And yeah, then that was it. I'd prep my gear. I'd wire talent. And that's an interesting thing because when you're shooting this, there's no like tape doesn't work. So how am I gonna stick a lob to somebody? If my stickies aren't working, if my it doesn't work, it's too cold.
Yikes.
So how am I
going
gonna like something? And I'm in a reality show. It's not like I'm gonna be booming all this, and they're fishing over there, and like all this action's going. You're not booming it, right? So
yeah, you think about sweat. That's the only time the tape doesn't work. I never even thought about extreme cold. Like
Yeah.
I've never had it where I put a piece of tape on a person and it
Doesn't
falls
work.
off from.
no, you're gaffed. No tape works. So you're like, okay, well, this
Wow.
will be interesting. And plus, you're wearing all these big coats, so it's all like, rough. So luckily, they're also all wearing hats. So that worked out great to just, put them in their hats. But what I did, I shouldn't give everybody this great secret, but here you came here for
Hey,
like some
come on,
information.
Come
so
on, this is for the students of the future.
yeah, it actually
All
worked really good. I basically taped bobby pins to the lav, so up near the capsule, and I did that inside when it was warm, and then I used this tape that sticks to itself, sort of. It's like self-adhesive. So I just used like some tape to sort of hold it in place, and then I went over that with some self-adhesive tape, and then that held, and it actually made it awesome because it's like all the time wherever I'm going to put it in, it's just like do the pin, put it in, seal the pin,
Done.
and it's in place, and it stays in place. I don't have to worry about it. It's
Doesn't
not moving
fall
everywhere.
out.
That was great. And then I had, I used koalas for the wind protection, which again, they're big and bulky. There's newer ones now that are not as bulky.
Right.
But you could usually hide it. It wasn't in front, so I was like, "Oh, you got a big thing of cancer growing out of your forehead." You'd sort of slide to the side, and you could figure
You
out
have
where
a fuzzy mole.
Right. Yeah, you could still see lump. But anyway, so we did a good job of hiding it and worked out great. The bobby pins were the way to go. That was amazing. But that was an interesting challenge to have to deal with.
Wow.
That first day, I could tell you this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you're gonna
No,
ask.
no. Go.
As far as the cold goes, it was interesting too, trying to figure out like, what are we gonna eat? Because they like sent us with lunches, right? So they sent us with like thermoses of coffee that like, if you guys get cold, yeah, I'm already cold. Like I got out of the car. It's like if you get the coffee's already gone. The sound guy's been drinking it.
The car was cold.
Right.
The outside's cold. The house is cold. I'm cold.
Right. So it's like you get out there for our lunch, and it's like we pull out these thermoses of like lukewarm coffee.
Yeah,
It's like, here, so you guys
exactly.
could get warm out there.
Is this a McDonald's frappe? This isn't a coffee.
Right. There was Tim Hortons. It's Canada, right? So
Okay, right.
Those
yeah.
were great. Timbits. We love the Timbits. Those were the way to buy your crew. Timbits are the way to buy your crew.
Okay.
So anyway, and we pull out our sandwiches. They send us with sandwiches, and you take a bite, you're like, oh, this is great, whatever. And then 5 seconds later, you go to take your next bite, and it's frozen solid like a brick.
I think you had a picture of one that you
did.
gave me. Hold on.
Yeah, I
I
just
think this
threw
is.
some. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I was gonna
That was
ask
the
you.
day.
So this is turkey con ice cube.
Yep, basically. It's like I just pulled it out of the freezer. I got one bite, and then it's like, okay, what are we going to eat the rest of the day? Protein bars, same thing. They're like a brick.
Oh, that's so funny, man. Crazy.
Yeah, funny for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
I've done a show where we had the same thing. It was like the same thing, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for like 60 days.
Sounds
Yeah.
delicious.
It was hard. And there was one day it was a construction crew that they had pizzas and we were like, what? We like got so mad like it was like 2/3 of the way through the shoot.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's when you develop a peanut allergy. Like suddenly, hey, my doctor, I just got a note that my doctor wrote for me. It says I got a peanut allergy. I'm going to have to. Pays to be gluten-free.
Man. But so, I mean, I guess the thing is for you guys is like you're in a town where there aren't a lot of restaurants. There isn't a Sizzler that you guys can go to, right?
Well, actually, there were a few things. Now, of course, we wanted to, they wanted to show it as if it's remote, and it was remote, but it was also the capital of the Northwest Territories. So, I mean, we stayed in a hotel. That's another question that you ask right away. It's like, if I'm doing a Mountain Man show and I'm staying in a tent for, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever like that,
different.
in that, then it's like, thank you, bye.
Yeah.
I
mean, here's a question for you and everybody here. By the way, guys, this is a live discussion, so if you have any questions, please let us know.
Yeah, we'll be sure to answer them next time.
Yeah, right. But I guess the question is, if you're not staying in a hotel and you're on a travel job, is that considered like on the clock?
Don't do it.
Like, yeah, it's considered don't do it. But is that considered like a different rate? Like
But you'd have to. I mean, you sure would
you
negotiate
just
that
have
or
to
try to negotiate that.
like a higher rate for that because you're not having that closure to your day, right?
You need that. I mean, again, you're out in the elements, so all day long, unless you're in a houseboat chilling while cameras out there. I mean, what can I say?
Sound thug life, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
No, so you're out there and you do like you. I mean, you just have to have some downtime too because you're on the road all the time. Like
you got to
just
charge your
have
batteries.
You do. You have to have some sanity. It's like if you're, you have to find ways to get away from the crew and everything. At least I did. A lot of the crew like to hang out together. That's great, and you need to do that as well. But like I also wanted on my days off, I didn't want to see crew. I didn't want to see production. I wanted to feel like I'm away from it all.
Right, yeah.
And not just in it. 7 days a week, 24/7.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
I mean, you're always available, but at the same time, you try to. I mean, you go do your laundry and you do whatever, but you try to find go for a hike. You go do something so you can sort of get away from production. I'm living in a hotel.
Absolutely.
So anyway, how that if you were staying in a tent, for the entire run of the show, and I mean, okay, hey, that could be a great adventure too, and so that's part of it. You just have to know that up front. You sort of prepare yourself with that expectation in mind. You're like, okay, I know I'm going to have to be in this environment, and then it's okay because you've sort of prepared yourself mentally, I think, for it,
right,
and physically. But yeah, that's something you need to talk about up front and decide if you're even willing to do the job.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what were some of the pitfalls that happened?
Almost dying. Besides that one.
Well, if you want to share that one, you totally can. That one I'm going to leave up to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that one?
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, we did go through the lake once. I don't remember what season. We did the 2 seasons of the show.
Okay.
It was 2 seasons. One of them we went through. We were in an Argo, it was an amphibious vehicle, so we could go. It was it was during breakup, so we knew that the ice was starting to get thin, and we were, so we were driving along the lake, and then we ended up going through and towing all of our gear in this little trailer. I even have video. Like I was shooting. I was like getting. I was like, yeah, shooting the wheels. I'm getting all these like cool action shots and like whatever, doing whatever. And then next thing you know, like we go through the ice. And the vehicle floats, but the water's like, I'm sitting in the back of the vehicle, and right here is the back of the vehicle. The DP was right here, the AC and whatever. We always
How
have
many
Arctic
people
guy.
can be in the car again?
So there was our driver was maybe the Arctic guy. I think, there was probably 2 cameras, an AC, and me, so 4 crew, and then an Arctic guy. And then we were towing a trailer with all of our gear in it. And so I mean, the water's like this far from just going into the vehicle, and we have these suits, so we had to wear these like little floater things, but they weren't dry suits, so we would get wet. I mean, they basically you wear those so they can find your body. They're bright yellow, and it's like they'll come airlift you, but you've been dead for whatever. So Yeah, we went through.
But you're going to be working with a really great
right,
producer.
it's going to be a great crew, and this is a reality show that's
going places.
This reality show is really important.
Going to change things for you.
Right. It's a good opportunity. We're not going to take your gear.
Whew.
Oh, I should tell you about that one. I should tell you
What?
about that's another tangent. No, I told you
Oh,
about
yeah,
that. But
yeah,
then season two, when we're in the midway shooting, and they start coming back to everybody and say, we need everybody. We're over budget, and we need everybody to like
scale back a little,
take less for their gear. So we're gonna, and it's like, nope, I don't think that's happening.
I just made a down payment on a Tesla, so I need you guys to just take a little load off for a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. That was a total tangent. But anyway, so yeah, we were in the Argo, and it was a bit gnarly. And so there was
I have a silly question.
Yeah.
Was this before or after the movie Argo? Did you guys make the joke like Argo?
I don't even know. This was like we would say that. That was actually our joke.
Okay.
We did. It was it.
Okay,
we did this in 2014. So when did Argo come out?
Yeah, right around there.
I don't remember. I remember Captain America was coming out, Winter Soldier, because we saw that. We're like,
nice. Yes. Yeah. GSP's in that movie. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Dude, crazy. I'll have to show you later. It's insane.
Yeah.
Whatever.
As soon as we wrap here.
MMA for all the people who don't know what we're talking about.
So we went through the ice. See, we were bringing them into this exciting story, and then we just went on 5 minutes of tangents, and they already left to like go
That's
to the
what
fridge
happens. That's what happens.
Yeah, we went through the ice. We're sitting there, and what happens when the ice is at that time of year is it all starts candling. So it basically, it's like it just fractures. The ice had been like 10 feet thick or whatever because it's ridiculous. But and then it just candles. So here we're on this Argo, and it's trying to like drive itself out. And it just is plowing through. It's just plowing through. So it just keeps. So we're not making any progress. And then the trailer starts taking on water. So now this is slowly. So, our Arctic guy had a dry suit. He was the only one. He wasn't wearing it. But so he, climbed over the back. He got that out.
Man, you guys are in a tight spot.
Right. Yeah. So he got his dry suit on and got in the water up to his neck, basically, to try to unhook the trailer from the back of our vehicle so it didn't pull us down when it finished filling up with water. And, oh, yeah, by the way, I'll tell you that later. We noticed when we got back that the thing that was keeping the water out of our vehicle was like a strip of cardboard like this, because the back of the trailer was like something had broken, so they just like patched it up with like yeah. So anyway.
It's like a frozen piece of cardboard.
Yeah, everything's frozen. So anyway.
Crazy.
Yeah, so he couldn't do that because it was still too heavy or whatever. I don't know. So he managed to. We got all the gear out, and then we got out. We climbed over, and we were able to sort of get some stable ice and spread out on the ice, and then there was a winch on the front of the vehicle, and they just still kept plowing. So then we tied all these ropes, and we were all like sort of pulling but spread out, so we didn't go through. And we did have a sat phone, so we had let production know that we were having this incident. So they knew, and they sort of knew where we were, I think.
Don't worry, we're getting some great B-roll.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we got some tidbits on the way, so don't worry about it.
Exactly.
We'll some morale booster.
Yeah. We'll just wait here.
Yeah. So anyway, we eventually were able to get the vehicle out and separated, and so we, I think the Arctic guy drove it back to where we had been. Last been on, we knew solid ice, and then we sort of schlepped our stuff across the ice.
It was still able to work after that point?
Yeah, it's an amphibious vehicle. It was
so
built for that.
So it'll literally submerge and come up and be okay.
Well, it doesn't go underwater, but,
To that point, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You've seen, like, in San Diego. Greetings, San Diego. You've seen that that vehicle in San Diego that does the tours where it goes around on the land and then it, like, will turn into a boat and go out and maybe you don't.
Guess
okay,
not.
they have a vehicle that does that.
Man,
so I'm sure the military has all that. It's,
crazy.
It's classified, okay? We were on a classified shoot.
You'll have to kill me if you tell me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it.
Wow.
But anyway, so yeah, that was a bit of a hairy day. And it was funny. I mean, not funny, but it's interesting because everybody's joking around, blah, and then as soon as you go through the ice, it's like quiet. It's like
exactly.
It's quiet because it's serious, and everybody knows it's serious, and nobody's like everybody's like, okay, well, we'll figure this out. Like nobody's panicking or whatever, but at the same time, it's the tone changed immediately. So,
which is good. That shows you.
I got your tone to change finally. I got you to try to stop, joking about it, and it was a big deal.
Well, you're right. No, I mean, and it's good though. It just shows that you're working with professionals. That's why I wasn't there. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
So
I have to say the EP, that was one of the things that she stressed from day one. Um, she said we're shooting a reality TV show here, and this is one of the things that right away I think we all felt like, okay, this EP actually cares about us. We're more than just making them a TV show they say can make
we're
some
not
money
just
off
a
of
number, not
So-
just a sound guy.
So she said, we're shooting a reality TV show, so like anytime. Your safety is number one. You set down your camera, you walk away. You set down your sound gear, you walk away. If you need to go get warm, you go get in a car and you get warm. Because we were able to drive on the lake initially, because it's frozen, right? So we could drive wherever we needed to go. So it's like,
That's cool.
that was amazing. That was and that set the tone right away. And we did training with Arctic Response every season, every half season. So I mean, we watched somebody drown. We got instruction on what happens if you go through the ice. There's a thing called dry drowning where it's like the shock of the cold to your body. There's an involuntary gasp that happens as soon as you go in the water. You gasp, and so they call it dry drowning, but people will take that initial gasp and fill their lungs up with water, and even though they're standing on the land, they will end up drowning.
Wow.
Because that initial, and also your limbs start to shut down pretty quickly because your body's trying to send heat to your vital organs. And so, we watched a video that each time of these kids that were out, on like sea-doos shortly after like the lake had thawed, and it's a 2,000-foot deep lake. It's butt cold. And so they're out sea-dooing, they're all drunk, they're all like having fun. Somebody's on the dock filming the whole thing, and then they fall off their sea-doo, and they're literally like within 5 feet of the sea-doo. And the dude couldn't swim back to his sea-doo because his body shut down, because his limbs, he was swimming, and then he just, they're like, he's going under. And so we basically watch this kid drown because they're trying to, again, impress upon us, this is the seriousness of what you're doing, and this is the seriousness of the conditions.
Wow.
So it was a big deal, and especially we're in it too. And it's like, we're in canoes, a canoe could tip over easily, whatever. So safety was stressed. We always had an Arctic person with us. They actually did a great job of doing everything that they could to ensure that we were safe the whole time. So that was important, and they made it. They made it a place of importance, which we appreciate it. And then the crew just wants to fight for you anyway, because it's like, okay, they're willing to try to take care of me, then I want to try to take care of them too.
Yeah.
Versus just writing off me like, I don't care about your show, I don't care about anything.
Yeah.
You know.
You're able to go that extra mile because you know that they've got your back, that you're not just a number, like you said, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So what else happened on the show that you remember that?
The EP almost died, but I'm not telling that story. That was another day.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll keep them more happy,
yeah.
more technical woes.
Okay, let's see. I
What do you
did write
think?
some things down.
Yeah.
It's just to try to remind.
Guys,
it's been
when
so
you
long.
come on my show, you bring notes, okay?
Right.
Just remember that.
No, I had to try to remember. I was like, God, it's been so long since I've done the show.
Uh-huh.
Just dealing with the cold. Oh,
How did your gear work in the cold? Talk about that.
Yeah, it was
-40.
right. I didn't know, but fortunately, again, hey, it was great for cooling down the wireless. They get hot, and seriously, it was amazing. You just never turn off. Don't ever power it down, because you don't want to build condensation up inside that then suddenly is going to freeze. So it's always running.
Heat cold. That makes things.
Don't at all. I mean, think about it. Things like camera lenses. Think about it from camera's perspective. Like, they're out shooting in the cold, and then we got to go shoot a scene in the houseboat. We go inside the houseboat, and we got to sit there for 15 minutes while the condensation inside their lenses clears.
Fogging up and stuff, right?
We can't shoot anything. So everything, like, it's a, it takes time. But because of that, so it's like, I always, same thing. It's like you try not to do the hot cold, but again, you just never turn your recorder off, just change the batteries. And so that was one thing. I remember again, it's a reality show, so you're relying on the ISOs anyway of just the wires. But when you had to boom, somebody else walks into a scene or whatever. I remember the very first day, it was it's such a good memory. I don't know, like they were using chainsaws that were like this, and to cut through the ice to get these giant blocks of ice for doing sculptures. They were having a contest. It was the Long John Jamboree. We ended up not being able to use in the show because of political reasons, because they wanted to do their own show, and like it was all the politics that were going on. It was interesting.
Crazy.
I got to see some of that. But anyways, so they were cutting these giant blocks of ice out of the lake, And so I would have to go over and try to boom somebody when a camera would move in. And first of all, you're wearing like these liner gloves, and then you got these goose mitts. So you got this going on, as I am from Michigan, right? So
Yeah,
you know, it's
exactly.
like, yeah, from here, no.
Yeah.
But I mean, you couldn't. You're trying to turn dials, you can't really do it. And then, oh yeah, my glasses fogged up because you're breathing, and it's like it's going. You're wearing this mask thing, and then the breath's just going right up, and then it's immediately fogging up your glasses, so you can't see anything.
You can't even have a patch of your skin being shown.
No, I got a little frostbite on the bridge of my nose where there was like the the spot that was visible.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
So you learn to wear goggles. Yeah, right there.
I'm
Ow.
just kidding. I won't do it. I won't do it.
Yeah. So
Man.
that was. Yeah. Whatever. I don't know. I got distracted now by you trying to poke me in the nose.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
What is the most
Oh, you can't see. That's what it was.
important piece of gear that when you got there you were
My
like,
K-Tek boom pole.
yeah, of course. Hashtag Brenda.
Okay.
She's watching right now. She just gave us
Hey.
a thumbs
Oh,
up.
hey, Brenda.
What's
Hi,
up?
Brenda. Hi. Miss
Yeah.
you.
But yeah, like when was there something where like, a few days in or whatever, you were like, oh my God, if I didn't have this, I'd be crying right now. Do you know what I mean? Did you ever have that with any piece of gear in your kit? Or because that's the thing, people have to understand when you're taking a job of this caliber, you're not just thinking about your bag. You have to think about yourself. You have to think about your protection. They're not going to tell you to bring a coat. You know what I mean? Well,
Right.
on this one they are.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you exactly what to wear on something
They gave us
this hard.
$500 to buy clothing for the weather, and the Arctic coats are like $1,000 each.
Wow.
Now they did get us 50% off, so we got them for they basically bought us a coat.
That's
And
cool.
but we still had to get everything else, the boots and anyway, whatever is crazy. But as far as any piece of gear, I mean, no, just warm weather stuff. I guess your eyesight, I wouldn't have thought about that necessarily, but again, it makes sense, when you're standing on a giant lake and
Is
there's
there
any
flurries?
snow. Not really. It didn't snow a lot.
Okay.
There were times when it maybe snowed, but again, at that point, no, it didn't really snow much. But you're basically standing on a giant bounce. So your eyes, you're going to burn a hole in your retina because everything's white. And so you have to have eye protection. That's a big deal.
Wow.
Which is why ski goggles end up being the way to go, which I didn't start with that, but you're like, okay, I need to get some ski goggles that have, protection, for the warmth, and then, you always wear contacts because your glasses are useless out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was like UPS on like a snow dog or something?
Yeah, they had seaplanes. They had like little, like there's guys that's their job. They bring in the Amazon packages. I'm like, I expect 2 days, people. Like,
yeah, exactly. 2-day Prime.
maybe overnight.
2-day Prime is like
Yeah.
what, a month?
I don't know. Maybe you can't fly, but they've done other reality shows about the guys that actually fly in that weather because it's dangerous.
I
and
wouldn't
crazy.
want to do it.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So what was one of the more fun things? Like, did you guys do anything
Leaving.
with the crew? Leaving. Yeah, you were like, this one wasn't fun, Pop. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it was fun. It was great. It was this was funny, kind of funny. Thanksgiving. So the fishermen, we had to cover the fishermen. So on Thanksgiving Day of the one year, I was like, I'm like, grumble, grumble, grumble. It's Thanksgiving. Everybody's at home. Blah blah blah. And we have to go cover the fishermen. And well, it turns out that the day before was payday. So the fishermen got paid, and the one fisherwoman, she had a drinking problem.
Oh my gosh.
So she was MIA when we showed up. And we're sitting there like, "Where's talent? Where's
Sucky.
Where's talent at?" And she was nowhere to be found. So Thanksgiving, I ended up getting to go back to my hotel. There was a picture in there somewhere, but I had like I forget what I got. It was like plum and like some wild game, from there. And
Hilarious.
yeah, I ended up actually even getting to watch football because the Wi-Fi sort of worked. But
You know what?
but
While
also I
we're
did this.
talking, I'm
Yeah.
gonna flip on because you
Oh, yeah.
did give me a
I can even
a
talk
gallery.
to those for a second.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna put on
That's
these
Henry.
pictures.
I'll talk to those for a second.
Yeah, so we can, feel free to talk and.
That's Henry. He died actually. He was one of the
Oh.
fishermen. He was great man. He's like the salt of the earth type thing.
Who's
that-
that stunning
That was
lad?
me, right? I was just getting layered up, and it's an art to get dressed because like everything has to go in the right spot so that your earpiece works and whatever. That was a bunch of the wireless that I initially had to get for the show. So I just probably took that in for insurance purposes or whatever, make sure that I had documented it before it went across the border. That was coming in through the air, just sort of flying over. So Great Slave Lake, I don't remember all the stats on it now. I remember it's like 2,000 feet deep, and
Wow.
it's like 5th largest freshwater lake or something. I don't know. This was like one of the first things we saw.
That was your hotel.
Yeah, right.
Okay, good.
Right. That would be amazing. I would love that. They had speakers set up in there in the walls, like they carved out, put speakers in there, and
Really?
people would go in there and they'd have bands and DJs and whatever.
And the only song that
Ice
they play
rink.
is "You're as cold as ice."
Right, Foreigner. Right. Yeah,
Okay.
they brought the Foreigner. Yeah. Hey, Brenda's Canadian. She appreciates all this.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
I should be throwing a few A's out there. I'm surprised I didn't. And that was the morning. Oh, that was one of those mornings like, oh, it's so beautiful out here. And then you look at the thermometer in the car, it's like minus 34, and you're like,
No, no thanks.
but whatever. It's
I don't even like it when it's plus 34. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was the first day. That was me
So
just.
that's the truck that you get taken in?
No, that was something that was out there. I don't know.
Okay.
It's kind of funny though, don't you think? We're wearing a life jacket because we were around there. They're
Those are
shooting the.
box.
You know, you
Wow.
wouldn't think about it. We're standing out here on this frozen lake, and they're making us wear a life jacket. But they were cutting holes in the ice.
Wow.
That was a giant block of ice. So that was like this. That was the first day on the show.
Man, this is like an Encino Man remake. There's like a person in there. Whatever.
Yeah, right. Actually, that'd be your coffin. So this is like from looking down, sort of over. So that big boat there. Well, I can't really explain because I can't point, whatever. But around the island are some of the houseboats. This was one of the nights we went out with the crew, and we were going to see the Northern Lights. So we just built a giant bonfire on the lake, on a different lake, and it was a lot of fun. So there's some of the Northern Light action that was going on, which was phenomenal.
You
Again,
took that picture?
yeah,
Wow, beautiful.
that's what the camera that you're using right now.
Oh, wow.
My
Thank you.
Canon 6D.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's looking straight up at him. I thought that was a cool.
That was right
perspective.
before you got abducted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I got dropped back off.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, oh, that was one of the boats that we had lunch on there a lot. So that was Molly's barge. So that ended up being home a lot. There's some of the crew at lunch one day. That's not everybody. That's just some of us. One day. God, I was so skinny back then. That's the thing about being in the cold. By the way, this is a great diet plan because you burn calories just your body trying to keep you warm.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that
was kind of. I need to go back there. So that was just we would sort of load off this dock. That was a fishing plant right across the way. There was me with sort of geared up at one point. Kind of the funny thing, I think the next picture I may have one of the fishermen. So here's us. This is what the crew looks like. They're like, yeah, L.A. Coming with every part of our body covered. That was a new mask that I got that was better that it didn't fog up your glasses or your goggles because it had an opening.
Oh, okay, so you put that on, then you put the goggles over the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then here's one of them. They're like, oh yeah, it's only minus 30 whatever today. He's not even wearing gloves. He's like pulling nets out of the lake, with his bare hands. He's like, yeah, actually all the nerves in my hands have been destroyed for a long time, so I don't even feel it anymore. I'm like, okay, well I don't want to be like that. They're putting a GoPro on a fish so they can get a shot of the nets coming out of the water. I'm sitting there like, really, guys? It's like minus 40. Can we just they don't need the shot.
They don't need that
like,
shot.
Time to go home? Huh?
Yeah.
Just kidding. But
Wow.
it was actually a cool idea.
That was
they
your
were doing.
lunch. That was crafty.
Right?
Okay.
That was just some of the fillets or fillets. I forget.
Filet.
There's a different. Yes, we say fillets, and in Canada they say fillet, and there's a big difference.
Brenda, tell us how it's done.
No, don't tell us, Brenda. We already saw this picture. That was with the frozen lunch.
Oh, right,
which
yep.
was hilarious.
Frozen fish.
Right. That hat was the most obnoxious, but it was the warmest thing. That was just like the layers that I stripped off at the end of the day, and I threw them on the bed. It's hard to tell there, but there was like, I don't know.
How did you
How many
wash the
layers?
clothes? Did they have a laundromat?
There's a
and stuff?
laundromat in town, so once a week we'd go to laundromat.
Okay, that's good.
That was like a little fishing village at whatever we went to. So we got to ride around. I got to sit in the back of that thing, the second car, by myself a lot of times while we were shooting scenes. There's a good shot of the Northern Lights with a tent that was
That's
out at that little. That was, I think, on the hunting trip. So, that was amazing experience to see those there. There's the Argo. That's what we were in the day that we went through the ice.
Wow.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be a little intimidating, I would say.
There's the winch that we tried to pull it out. We had an auger that he had dug through the ice and had connected to the, and then was using the winch to the auger to try to pull us out, and it just basically bent the auger. There's some of the candle ice right there. That's some of the ice that it's just, I don't know if that's a great picture to sort of show what it's like, but when it thaws, it just candles like that. Oh, that was another thing. You don't really think about it. At that point, we were on like some sort of, I don't know, floating, somebody was building some structure. And you don't really think about it, but when the water is there's another picture. You have like these giant icebergs. So we're out there in a boat, but we have to, like the ice is constantly shifting. Like we were out someplace, then we could get trapped because you got all these like mega 1,000-pound icebergs that have come together, and now they've blocked your access. You can't even get back because
Wow.
there's no way to get the boat through anymore.
Wow.
That was one day out at the fishing hole in the middle of nowhere. There's the town. That's like twilight. So every day it was like 7 minutes difference. Every day, like when it's getting shorter days, every day was 7 minutes shorter. So every week you're losing 49 minutes of daylight.
Wow.
Or as you're going towards summer, you're gaining 49 extra minutes of daylight a week. And then it's funny because when summer solstice comes, I think there's like 2 minutes from when the sun goes down to when it comes up again. So
That's so weird.
yeah, it's kind of great. But so you sort of had that twilight. So that was just a picture sort of out the hotel window that was like, it would sit like that for like 3-4 hours. I don't know, where it's just like the sun's sort of setting and you're in this twilight.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And there's some of the candle ice, and we were just, again, we had a canoe just from that little dock over across to the houseboat, and everything takes so much time. That's just in the middle of nowhere. We're basically out in the middle of this frozen lake, and there's nothing.
God, it must be so peaceful.
Yeah, it can be.
How was
for
your
sure.
wireless
Quiet.
reception there?
Um,
I'm gonna flip back from
Yeah,
some
no
of these. These were
problem.
some incredible photos. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no
those.
problem.
That's awesome.
Wireless worked pretty good. We did have some issues initially. And again, some of the houseboats are like all tin, and so there were some issues at first a little bit with it. We were surprised, and like maybe it's because we're close to the axis of the planet. And maybe that was causing some issues. I don't know.
Thanos or something.
Yeah, I don't think that he was there. I never saw him, at least.
Okay, yeah.
So it could have been, but I think we were still only at Avengers 1.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I can't
That's
remember.
good.
It was
He wasn't
it was Winter Soldier. You have to look at the timeline.
They didn't get that space done yet, thingy.
Yeah, it worked pretty good. And again, what I ended up doing was putting a couple dipole antennas on the bag. So at first I had taken with me a couple passive antennas, shark fins, in case we had to remote something.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I
I did notice one of those in one of your
Yeah,
pictures.
so I gave Adam one and I had one, just so we'd have at least one side. We'd have, we could use that and try to get a little bit of range if we're having any issues. Or again, if they're going out sometimes, they take off on snowmobiles. Oh, that's something I should say was really great. Sorry, people, that I'm just bouncing all over the place.
No, that's great.
If
Oops,
anybody's still
sorry.
watching, but
I'll flip back to this. I got to turn this camera back on. Sorry, guys.
yeah. The Never clip was amazing for it because so often they're in a boat, they're in a
Never clip, everybody, just so
Yeah.
you know, is a Zaxcom feature that allows you to have a higher dynamic range. It's basically instead of having like compressors and limiters, you have Never clip. You can look it up more, but please continue.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so that was amazing because again, they may be talking, then they jump on a snowmobile and they take off, and we still got some sound bites. Or again, you're in a boat, yeah, and again, if you're in the boat, you're not wearing the gloves, but again, when you're wearing these giant mitts and you can't like operate faders, or your glasses are fogged up, you can't even see the faders to move them.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Never clip was a lifesaver because it's like I wasn't worried about it. I knew I had clean ISOs, and Never clip was an amazing feature. That and the onboard recording for, again, when they take off in a boat and they're out of range, and it's like, sorry, there's a camera with the fisherman in that boat,
and I'm not.
and they're out of range, and it's like, I'm just providing IFBs for them, and I was able to dump cards later and get some stuff for them, so that was good.
So did you dump the cards every single night, or
No,
did you
no,
only
no.
do it when you needed it? When
Only
you were
when we
like,
needed
oh
to.
man, something went.
Only we need to. And I'd have to, again, you have to clear that with the line producer and be like, well, clear meaning to say we got to do this, but at the same time, it's like I got to be on the clock for this
Yeah.
because we were still on time card. So it was like, hey, I'm gonna have to, I need a couple hours to dump cards, and there might be like 12 wires. Season 2 there was 12. They
Wow.
wanted 16 when it started. I was like, you don't need 16. Most of
Yeah.
the time we're using 2 each.
What do you want me to mic the fish?
Yeah, no, they're just the big scenes. They're like, we're gonna do a couple big scenes, and it's like you'll be fine with 12. You'll be able
Yeah.
to pick up. We'll boom whatever we can, or you'll pick it up off somebody else's wire. It's
Right.
little sound bites, like
So what
Anyway.
broke on the job?
nothing, just a few cables.
Really?
Nothing. Frankly, it was great. I mean, some of my little ERX cables, I used the Zaxcom ERXs on cameras for just to give time code and just a mono feed. I didn't want to give them a stereo feed, because I would have had to buy more stereo hops. So it was a practical thing for me up front, but
Yeah.
also I wanted to make sure they used my ISOs.
Yeah, exactly.
So that there wasn't going to be a bunch of phasing or whatever.
Yeah, if you're
issues.
putting audio on that camera, and that's what they want to use, man, you run into so many issues. Did the
Yeah.
audio get to the camera? Is there a problem? Did they bump the input
Yeah.
trims or something? Where, if you're just sending time code and saying sync my stuff later,
Right, that's
you're
what I
going to be a
wanted.
lot better off.
I wanted that to make sure that they did. I got to go in post and I got to watch some of the edits later on, and I remember being like, wait, why did they use the ISO? It was like a 2-second clip. I'm like, why did they use the ISO on that? And then the EPs, like, you need to go. You need to you need to leave the room. Like, do you understand how tight these deadlines are for people? And you're worried about like 1 second of audio that like there's some phasing in. And I was
It
like,
doesn't matter. Pull it out.
I'm like, yeah, but they don't. It's like right there. All they gotta do is just pick the other track.
I'll
It's
find it.
right
I'll Dropbox it to you.
I
Man.
didn't have to. It was there. They just didn't know.
Man.
But anyway,
What
it's
can
funny.
you do?
Nothing.
Crazy.
Nope.
Crazy.
It was, yep. Great experience. Glad I did it. Actually, I have fond memories of Yellowknife. You know, it was a great experience. I've done stuff in the Middle East, so I've been in like super hot environment too.
What's the difference between working in the hot and working in the cold? What are like the big things?
I mean, you know, desert sand's just hot. It's just miserable. And, you know, you're worried about your gear overheating because there's no place for it to cool either.
Yeah.
Or being in direct sunlight, you know, it's like, that's gnarly. That's worse. I'd rather be in the cold because you can always layer up, you know. And again, with the cool, you know, my receivers and everything were able to. The amp, they were able to cool themselves. And we got an amp. I got the little. Gene was helping me up front to get the little amp to try to get better range for the ERXs. And so those things get like, I mean, you could fry an egg on them. They're so hot. But again, being out there in that cold, it was like no problem.
Yeah.
I was like, oh great, I got a hand warmer.
Exactly.
You know? So that was a huge help. That was
Very
a huge
good.
help. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Have we wound down? I think we've talked for way longer than anybody was even interested in.
Well, no, actually, we've got quite a bunch of people on. Guys,
Cool.
if anyone from home has any
it's your last
questions,
chance.
comments, concerns, please let us know. We've just been kind of going off. Hopefully,
Yeah.
everybody's just been enjoying the conversation. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you would want to?
Oh yeah, your
tell
boogers
people
freeze
about?
quickly. Saliva boogers freeze right to your face. So that's your craft services out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chewy.
Yep.
It happens.
That's just important to know. If there's no crafty, don't worry. You can just lick your face.
Yeah.
You get a
Wow.
boogersicle.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's see here. What else can we bring up about this job? What kind of things that could you bring up about students that would say, man, like, how would I ever get a job like this? You know, how do you recommend getting a job like this, or even getting
How does
on
any
the
job
road?
happen? It's no different. How does any job happen? You network. You build relationships with people. You show that you have a good work ethic. You show that you do quality. You know, you're turning in a quality product for them. And then people say, hey, this guy, you know, I don't know. It just sort of happens. You know, we all run in circles. You start in one circle, and then eventually, I mean, I didn't start in reality, and I didn't end in reality, which is great because I did travel shows for a little while, but I didn't want to constantly be on the road. So you try to dip a foot out. I don't know. It just sort of happens. You know, it sort of happened. Not like I looked for this show to happen. It just kind of did. So
A producer had this type of a job.
I mean, network with people. That's it. Network with a mixer, you know, and try to get somebody to take you. I mean, there's plenty of bigger shows. This is just like a small reality show. There's only 2 crews, and you know, so there's plenty of bigger shows. You can go get on, you know, one of those. You know, I've worked with, you know, other guys on like MasterChef or Hell's Kitchen, or you know, like Keith Garcia or Martin Talty, you know, again, I didn't run in that group. Like a lot of guys don't own gear, so they only do reality because they don't want the gear. They just want to go show to show to show and build up their union hours and their insurance and et cetera. And that's great. Like that's one way to do it. Since I had gear right away, I was always just doing smaller stuff and taking the gear with me, and I was comfortable with it because I knew my gear.
Right.
You know, so it's just networking. You know, it's just networking. And so if that's something you want to do, then try to build a relationship with the mixer. You know, that's souping the sound supervisor for a bigger show, and get a foot in the door and get some experience.
Yeah,
and have a good work
it's
ethic.
not going to happen overnight. You're not going to contact Coca-Cola on the phone and then all of a sudden start working on their commercials the next day. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It just comes down to, you know, getting into the industry, building your chops up, and finding the community that works well with you, right?
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, basically. And don't stay in the low budget stuff forever. You know, when you're starting out, that's great for a time because you're getting your experience and you're building your chops and you're making some mistakes and whatever. But again, you can stay in that forever because there's always people that are happy to have you work for no money. But eventually you have to start turning that down and say, no, I'm worth more than that. And you have to value yourself first before anybody else will. And then that goes into negotiating, you know, et cetera too. But when you're first starting out, that's how I'm talking to those people right now. When you're first starting out, you're just like, hey, work, oh my God, great.
Yeah.
And you're excited and that is good, you know. But you can't stay in that loop forever because those people will just eat you all day and they don't care about you. They're just going to, you know, they just want cheap labor, you know. They don't even care if it sounds good. It's like, hey, I'll just put out another horror film and, you know, make my whatever I make on it.
Exactly.
And then do another one, and then do another
Just
one.
spit another one out.
Yeah.
Just do it.
They don't even care if it's quality.
Yep. And if you say no, they'll get somebody else at that rate.
They'll list down.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We all have to work to get the rates up to let these people know that there are, we are professionals. We have our services and then we have our equipment, and we need to be compensated for both.
Yeah, one thing that I think is important for that, again, it's maybe a separate conversation, but I think it's important to itemize your
Yes.
gear when you invoice. Don't because a lot of times they want just like, what are you doing for all in, and they just want to get a number for their budget line, and then sometimes it's like, hey, thank you, sound department, for paying for the coffee for everybody because I managed to get your rate down so that in my budget I still have room so that I can make sure that I'm getting whatever. It's important to itemize. First of all, this is my labor, and then this is the gear, and then even if I'm giving somebody a little bit of a deal on the gear, then I still itemize the full value going off of rental house rates. This is what this costs, because a lot of those people, they don't even know what it is. They don't know the technical, and they don't
know
care.
what it is.
They don't want to. They don't need to. They just want a number to make my budget work.
This is the money I have, and I need to hire somebody.
I'm going to make it work for this. They may have more than that. They'll always come in, I got no money, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I'm not even going to say that. They'll always say I have no money. That's the opening line of their negotiation. I got no money, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, sometimes maybe it's true. It's always good to find out right away technical. What are we shooting on? What camera are we shooting? Oh, we got 3 Alexas, and you have no money. Sure, okay.
Yeah, that happened to me the other day. They wanted me to work for $500 a day, and then I was like, okay, how many cameras? And they said 3 Alexa Minis, and I was like, 3 Alexa Minis means that you have 2, 4, 6, 8 to 9 people in your camera crew.
Right. So,
whoa.
Well, that's how you know the budget right away. You're always going to know. Oh yeah, we're shooting on DSLRs. We're shooting on we're shooting on iPhones. It's like again, those are important pieces of information to help you understand what sort of tier budget you're looking at. And
Andy Lowe says, do you prefer film or TV work? What is your favorite type of sound job?
I never really wanted to do. It doesn't matter.
Whatever pays the bills, right?
I haven't done a whole lot of film. I mean, I've done a couple indie things. I've done one that's on iTunes that they can't even get people to rent it for 99 cents. It's such garbage.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even pay 99 cents to watch it. And I worked on it. I was like, I'm not giving it my 99 cents.
You should give this to me anyways. I worked on it.
No, teasing. But actually, one of the guys that did post on, he's like, we should get together and watch it. I was like, I don't want to watch that crap.
Yeah.
I went and looked at all the comments too, and everybody's like, I can't get that part of my life back. This is the worst. No, this is the most manipulative. Blah blah. It was.
Oh man.
But for me, it was because I didn't start in my 20s. I wanted to have balance in life. So, when I saw my cousin was working on network TV shows, and starting Monday morning at 6:30 or whatever, he had to be there, and then getting done his Fridays, 3 in the morning or whatever, and then you have a day and a half, and then you start all over again. It's great because hey, you're working with professionals, which is awesome. And you have the consistent work, which is great, and there's a lot of positives that go with it. But for me, I was just I would rather have more balance in my life. I just need that right now for where I'm at. If I was starting off in my early 20s, I wouldn't care. I'd just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go work like a dog, and doesn't matter. I want the work, and I want to, you do that. But I just was in a different place. So, the answer to that question, I really think it's a personal preference. Frankly, I mean. Reality TV is not very rewarding, because it's we're just slapping a bunch of wires on people, and it's a lot of it's garbage. I mean, and you go sit there, you work on Vanderpump Rules or something, and you're like, God, I can't get this out of my brain. I have to listen to this crap all day, and then I just want quiet when I get out of here, so I can try to get it out.
Yeah,
and
that's what I do when I drive home after a reality show. Narrative, it's not that bad, but reality shows,
exactly.
Radio's off, and I drive home in dead silence. I'm done listening.
Yeah, yeah. So. I would say from that standpoint of, obviously working on film or network TV or something like that, there's an art to it, and most of it you're booming, and you're actually there's actually rehearsals, and you're actually that's awesome. That's a fun, and it's a great challenge.
Yeah.
So for me, from a work standpoint, I would prefer that because the quality of what you're doing, it's a whole nother thing versus slapping a bunch of wires on people and running around.
Did you get it?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Just shoot everything because it's all digital. Just shoot everything. So that would be my answer thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, anything that pays, when the check clears, that's the type of job that you want.
Not yes, but also no, because there are times I've turned down work because I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm over that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So again, there's a balance, and you also have to get to a place when you can, and maybe you have something else going on the side, or you're just busy enough that you're like, I'm just not willing to do that. I'm not going to go do that anymore. So.
Yeah, you have to figure out where your bottom line is, at some point, like you said in the
And that
beginning.
changes over time.
It definitely does. My bottom line has definitely changed now that I've had a kid. And it definitely helps to like kind of firm things up. It helps you to make adult decisions a little bit better, and it also helps to put.
So I need to have a kid, is what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
everybody needs to have a kid that solves all your problems, but then it introduces new ones.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's awesome problems.
Speaking of which, why isn't your daughter here in the? I mean, nobody needs to look at us. Like, where is she at?
You know what? Because she would just go rip the cables out, hit the buttons, close the stream.
Right. We'll have to see her after.
Absolutely, yeah, you will for sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, if nobody else has any more questions, we want to say, guys, thank you so much for joining us for this Mantis discussion. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You did amazing. He did amazing. Guys, thank you so much.
David Cook, you still around? Why didn't you heckle me at all?
Yeah, you didn't heckle at all, buddy. Come
Very
on,
disappointed,
I'm scrolling
David.
up. Yeah,
Disappointed, David.
You're getting soft over there. But
Brenda, love you.
And actually, Brenda, this is sponsored by K-Tek, so thank you. And guys, check out all of their different products as well as the gizmo bags that are on sale for the next short time at your retail stores. We'll see you soon on another Mantis discussion.
Bye, San Diego.
Take care. Bye. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Before we go, I want to tell you guys one more thing. This is actually a Video Mantis announcement.
Oh.
I've been working really hard on, getting all of these live shoots going and all this stuff. But starting this next up-and-coming week, I have some courses that I'm releasing.
Great.
Yeah, so I wanted to show you guys the introduction to one, so we might as well just tail off with the commercial for the very first course that I'm going to be releasing, which is Soldering 101. It's basically something to help people that haven't made their cables before learn how. It's a great way to save money in your future career. So check it out, and we'll see you on the next Mantis discussion.
Bye.
Tuesdays at 2. Take care.
Welcome to the basics of soldering and cable making in the field. This is an absolute necessity for any sound utility on a production, as well as any person who would like to understand just what exactly is going on inside of these cables that we use on a day-to-day basis. This course is designed to teach you everything you need to know to make your very own cables. We will touch on what equipment to purchase, how to stay safe while operating the equipment, how to assess damages in the field, and even demonstrate techniques and examples of how to make your very own cables. We are going to take you deep into the world of cable building and repair and show you what you need to buy, how to maintain your equipment, and how to be safe on set. This is Soldering 101 at Video Mantis. Purchasing this course will unlock all videos and place it in your van line.